You've got everything down to the T. You've got your nutrition, you've got your sleeping on point, you've got your training on point. You're always focusing around progressing compound lifts, but you still can't build muscle. You're stuck. You're at a point where you've built some muscle and you've just stopped progressing. In this video, I'm going to go over the number one reason you're not building muscle and you're not progressing, and exactly how to start building muscle again. Let's get right into it. You've probably heard this 1,000 times. Bro, you've got to lift heavy to get big. That's true, for sure. You've got to lift progressively heavier as the time goes on. You've got to progress the workouts and you will lift heavier. And you've probably heard this as well, at least a few hundred times. You've got to add weight to your bar week after week. And again, this is true, but to a point. A 2022 study looked at increasing the weight lifted while keeping the repetition range the same versus increasing the repetition range while actually keeping the weight the same. They looked at the amount of muscle growth that each experienced over the course of 8 weeks. And you're probably thinking, obviously the weight lifted, built more muscle, and even like I would have at some point thought that that would have been the case. But the study actually found that both built the same amount of muscle. There was no significant difference between the two groups. This is quite exciting to me because with my clients, I've been focusing around double progression for some years now, and in my own training actually. Now you're probably wondering what's double progression. Let me first explain to you what single progression is, then I will go into double progression. So single progression is what's most commonly used. It's basically just increasing the weight week after week after week. So take, for example, you're bench pressing 60 kilos. That's about 135 pounds. And then week after week, you need to increase this weight. And that can happen within your first 6 months, for example, but over time, that's not going to be possible. Otherwise, you'd see people breaking records left, right, and center, but that's not going to be the case. You're probably thinking as well, oh, I've got a friend that does this, he's done it for years, that friend is probably either one or two, a genetic freak or on something. Most people will not be able to increase the weight week after week. Trust me, I've been there with clients and I've been there with myself as well. You get stuck. This might actually be you right now following that progression model. Now let's talk about double progression. So with double progression, you're focused on increasing the weight and reps, or the weight or the reps, basically. Hope that makes sense, but this example will help you make more sense of it. Say you're bench pressing, for example. The first week you've got 4 sets of the rep range being between 8 to 12. Let's use the typical hypertrophy, the typical muscle building rep range. So 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Week 1, you have a given weight and you start with 8 reps. You get 4 sets of 8 reps. Then next week you aim for 4 sets of 9 reps, and so forth until you get 4 sets of 12 reps, which is the upper limit of that rep range. Once you do that, you increase the weight. For example, you're doing a bench press, you'd increase the weight by 5 to 10%. But then what's going to happen is you're going to go back to 8 reps. And when you go back to 8 reps, you're going to do that whole process over and over again. And then you'll be increasing the weight over time and also the amount of reps you're doing. So you'll always be progressing and always be moving forward. Because I know a lot of people that are literally stuck in the single progression model. So that's the double progression model, and that's how it differs. You're able to add a rep rate, not a rep range, a rep week in, week out. It could just be 1 rep on 4 sets. So it could be you get 9, 8, 8, 8 rather than just 4 nines. Or it could be 9, 9, 9, and then 8. For example, but you keep doing this until you get to 4 sets of 12. If you've got a 12, 12, 12, 11, then I say increase and then just, pay attention. Don't increase it too much, basically. But that's basically what you can do. Implement double progression in your routine. And I promise you now, if you're stuck using a single progression model, you will see growth. You will see muscle growth, no two ways about it. You will see muscle growth. But remember, some weeks you're not going to be able to progress in the same way. Other weeks you are. Depends on everything else. Depends on having, obviously, your sleep and nutrition and stress, or all of that, just looked after, basically. That's all I really wanted to cover in this video, but if you follow this, you will build more muscle. If you enjoyed this video, give it a massive thumbs up. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button now. And if you're interested in building muscle and losing fat, head on over to my Facebook group and join that for free. There's a lot of exclusive content around building muscle and losing fat. Anyway, until the next video, keep pushing those limits.